My name is Emma, and at 28, I never imagined I'd be the one holding my family together. Most people my age are climbing the career ladder or exploring the world, but here I am, juggling my responsibilities while also ensuring my family's needs are met. Living in a bustling city, I work as an analyst for a financial firm, a job that demands long hours and sharp focus. Yet my mind often drifts to my family, especially when my phone buzzes with another request. Emma, darling, the therapy bill for Lily just came in. My mom said over the phone one evening. It was a conversation we'd had countless times before. Lily, my older sister by 2 years, had faced what my mom called a career pause. In reality, Lily had left her job abruptly after being passed over for a promotion she believed she deserved. I can't believe they chose Mark over me, she had cried, her frustration palpable. I remember sitting in my cozy apartment, the one I'd worked hard to afford, listening to her complaints, thinking she'd bounce back quickly. But weeks turned into months, and Lily's job search remained selective, her standards impossibly high. Meanwhile, I found myself stepping in to cover not only Lily's therapy but also helping with my parents' bills. It seemed like every time I checked my bank account, another chunk had disappeared, sent to support my family. I watched as Lily scrolled through job listings, dismissing opportunities because they weren't perfect. At work, I was taking on extra projects, pushing myself to the limit just to keep everything afloat. Despite the pressure, I could see the toll it was taking on my parents. My mom, once lively and carefree, now wore a constant look of worry. My dad's shoulders seemed to carry the weight of the world, slumping a little more with each passing day. I knew we all needed a break, something to look forward to, and that's when I decided to plan a trip to Paris for us. It was meant to be a getaway, a chance to escape the daily grind and create cherished memories. I envisioned us strolling along the Seine, enjoying the city's charm and watching my parents' faces light up with joy. But life has a way of throwing curveballs, and little did I know, this trip would lead to unexpected revelations and a redefinition of what family truly means. As the idea of a Paris getaway took shape, I invested my free time meticulously planning each detail. I wanted it to be perfect, a blend of relaxation and adventure that my family desperately needed. I imagined us exploring art galleries, savoring French pastries, and sharing laughter over candlelit dinners. I believed this trip could be a turning point, a chance for my family to reconnect and find joy amidst the chaos. I spent weeks researching the best hotels and crafting an itinerary filled with experiences tailored to each of us. My mom had always dreamed of a Seine River cruise, so I booked a private evening tour for us to enjoy the city lights. For my dad, a history enthusiast, I arranged a guided visit to the Palace of Versailles. As for Lily, I planned a day at a renowned Parisian spa, hoping it would lift her spirits and provide a fresh perspective. The anticipation of the trip breathed new life into our conversations, and for the first time in months, I saw genuine smiles on my parents' faces. Even Lily seemed to brighten up, momentarily setting aside her job search frustrations. Everything was set, and I felt a sense of accomplishment knowing I could give my family this experience. Then, without warning, life threw us a curveball. Just days before our departure, I was involved in a car accident. One moment I was driving to meet a client, thinking about the presentation I had prepared, and the next, everything turned into a blur of screeching tires and metal crunching. When I came to, I was in a hospital bed, pain radiating through my body. The doctor informed me that I had undergone emergency surgery and would need time to recover fully. My heart sank not just from the physical pain but from the realization that our long-awaited trip would have to be postponed. I felt a wave of disappointment and guilt, thinking about how much my family had been looking forward to this escape. When my parents and Lily arrived at the hospital, I expected sympathy and understanding, maybe even a little disappointment. Instead, their response left me speechless. My mom, clutching her travel guide to Paris, spoke with a calmness that felt out of place. Emma, your dad and I think we should still go to Paris. You can rest here, and we'll take Lily with us. I blinked, sure I had misheard her. What do you mean? I thought we were going together. My mom continued, Lily has been through a lot, and she really needs this break. Lily chimed in, you were supposed to watch the house while we were gone. Since you can't, you'll need to find someone reliable. Their words hit me harder than the accident. I lay there, stunned, as they waved goodbye and left the room. Alone, I grappled with the painful realization that they were prioritizing their vacation over my recovery. The trip I had planned and paid for had become their escape, while I was left to navigate my healing journey alone. As I lay in that hospital bed, I resolved to reevaluate my role in this family. It was time to confront the dynamics that had left me feeling more like a caretaker than a cherished member. This unexpected turn of events was the catalyst I needed to redefine my boundaries and focus on my own well-being. Lying in the hospital bed, the reality of my situation began to sink in. I had always been the one to hold everything together, but now I was the one who needed support. The irony wasn't lost on me as I replayed my family's departure over and over in my mind. They had left for Paris, a trip I had dreamed and planned for, leaving me to recover alone. The days blurred into one another, a mix of doctor's visits and physical therapy sessions. Every movement served as a reminder of the accident, each ache a testament to the journey ahead. But the physical pain was nothing compared to the emotional weight I carried. My family's indifference felt like a betrayal, one that forced me to reevaluate everything I thought I knew about our relationships. In this solitude, I found unexpected allies. The hospital staff, sensing my loneliness, went out of their way to make me feel less isolated. Nurses would stop by for a chat, sharing stories that brought a smile to my face. My colleagues, too, rallied around me, organizing surprise visits that brightened my days. It was through these interactions that I began to realize the true meaning of support. One afternoon, Sarah, my closest friend, walked in with a bouquet of sunflowers, my favorite. "I heard you needed a little sunshine," she said, placing them by my bedside. Her presence was a balm, soothing the ache in my heart. We talked for hours, her laughter filling the room and momentarily pushing aside my worries. "Emma, you've always been there for everyone else," Sarah said softly. "Maybe it's time to focus on you." Her words resonated deeply. For too long, I had prioritized everyone's needs over my own, and now, faced with this unexpected solitude, I recognized the need for change. It was time to reclaim my narrative, to set boundaries that protected my well-being. As the days passed, I began to embrace this period of reflection. I had myself to feel the hurt, but also to acknowledge the strength that lay beneath it. I realized I had the power to redefine my relationships, to surround myself with those who truly valued me. One evening, as the sun set outside my window, casting a warm glow across the room, I made a decision. I picked up my phone, scrolling through messages from my family that I had left unread. Their words were a mix of guilt and justification, attempts to explain their actions, but I knew that this time I needed to communicate my truth. I began drafting a message, my fingers moving with newfound resolve. "I love you all," I wrote, "but I need to set boundaries to focus on my healing. Our relationships need to change, and that starts with me taking care of myself first." Hitting send, I felt a sense of liberation. It was a small step, but it marked the beginning of a new chapter where I prioritized my happiness and well-being. As I settled back into the pillows, a sense of peace washed over me. I was ready to face whatever came next, armed with the knowledge that I was stronger than I ever realized. And for the first time, I felt hopeful about the future, a future I would shape on my own terms. As I continued my recovery, the hospital room slowly became a place of introspection and newfound strength. Each day was a step forward, both physically and emotionally. With Sarah's words echoing in my mind, I focused on rebuilding myself, determined to emerge from this experience stronger and more self-assured. The support from friends and colleagues grew steadily, transforming my hospital stay into a time of genuine connection. One morning, I awoke to find a handmade card from my team at work, filled with encouraging notes and inside jokes that brought a smile to my face. Their kindness reminded me that I wasn't alone, that I had a community ready to support me in ways my family hadn't. A few days later, my friend Alex visited, bringing with him a fresh perspective and a bag of my favorite coffee. "Thought you could use a taste of the outside world," he joked, handing me the aromatic brew. We spent the afternoon discussing everything from work projects to life's unexpected turns. "Emma, you've always had this incredible ability to adapt," Alex said, his expression earnest. Maybe this is your chance to redefine what you really want. His words struck a chord. I realized that while the accident had forced me into a state of reflection, it had also given me the opportunity to reevaluate my priorities. I didn't have to continue living in a way that left me exhausted and unfulfilled. One evening, as the city lights twinkled outside my window, I took out a notebook and began jotting down my thoughts. I wrote about my dreams, my goals, and the life I envisioned for myself, a life where I focused on my passions and surrounded myself with people who truly cared. As the days passed, I felt a growing sense of clarity. With each physical therapy session, my body grew stronger, mirroring the resilience building within me. I realized I didn't need to shoulder everyone's burdens to feel valued. My worth wasn't defined by how much I could give, but by who I was. During a particularly reflective afternoon, Sarah returned, this time with a proposal. "When you're ready, let's plan a trip for just us," she suggested, her eyes sparkling with excitement. A chance to relax and explore, no obligations. The idea was enticing, a symbol of freedom and self-discovery. "I'd love that," I replied, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. It was time to create new memories, ones that I chose for myself. As my discharge date approached, I felt a mix of anticipation and empowerment. I knew the path ahead wouldn't be without challenges, but I was ready to face them with a renewed sense of purpose. The hospital had been a place of healing, not just for my body, but for my spirit. Leaving the hospital, I stepped out into the crisp air, feeling the sun warm my face. With my friends by my side and a clear vision of what I wanted, I was ready to embrace this new chapter. It was a journey of self-discovery, of finding strength in vulnerability, and most importantly, of reclaiming my life on my own terms. As I settled back into the rhythm of life outside the hospital, I carried with me the lessons learned during my recovery. Each step forward felt like progress, both physically and emotionally. My newfound clarity guided me as I began to make intentional choices about my future. Returning to my apartment, I was greeted by a sense of calm and familiarity. The space felt different, more like a sanctuary than just a place to sleep. My friends had transformed it while I was away, adding small touches that made it feel warm and inviting. Fresh flowers adorned the kitchen table, and uplifting notes were scattered throughout, each one a reminder of the support and love surrounding me. With my physical health improving, I focused on setting new goals. I realized the importance of balancing work and personal life, ensuring that my career ambitions didn't overshadow my well-being. Inspired by my conversations with Alex and Sarah, I began exploring opportunities that aligned with my passions, contemplating ways to bring creativity and joy back into my daily routine. One afternoon, as I sipped coffee on my balcony, I received a message from my family. It was filled with apologies and attempts to justify their actions, but I approached it with a sense of detachment. My time in the hospital had taught me the value of boundaries, and I was determined to maintain them, protecting the peace I had worked so hard to cultivate. Instead of engaging in past patterns, I chose to respond with kindness yet firmness, expressing my need for space and understanding. This was a new chapter, and I intended to fill it with positivity and self-care, leaving behind the guilt and obligations that had weighed me down. As weeks turned into months, I embraced this fresh start. I reconnected with hobbies I had long neglected, finding solace in painting and writing. Each brushstroke and word felt like a step toward reclaiming parts of myself that had been overshadowed by responsibility. In the spirit of self-discovery, I began planning a small getaway with Sarah, just as we had discussed. The anticipation of exploring new places and creating memories on my own terms filled me with excitement. It was a chance to step away from the familiar and embrace the unknown, armed with the strength and resilience I had discovered within myself. The day of our departure arrived, and as I boarded the plane, I felt a sense of liberation. The journey ahead was filled with promise, a reminder that life was an open canvas waiting for me to paint my own story. With each passing day, I grew more confident in my ability to navigate the twists and turns, knowing that I was supported by a community that valued and uplifted me. As we soared above the clouds, I glanced out the window, the world below a patchwork of possibilities. This was more than just a vacation, it was a celebration of newfound freedom and a testament to the power of choosing oneself. I knew that whatever lay ahead, I was ready to face it with courage and grace, embracing the adventure with an open heart and a renewed sense of purpose. As our plane touched down, a wave of excitement washed over me. This trip with Sarah was more than just a vacation. It was a symbol of my newfound independence and a celebration of the journey I had embarked on since the accident. Stepping off the plane, I felt the warmth of the sun on my face and a sense of anticipation for the adventures that awaited us. Our first stop was a quaint coastal town, known for its vibrant markets and stunning vistas. As we wandered through the bustling stalls, I marveled at the array of colors and scents, each one a reminder of the world's beauty and diversity. Sarah and I laughed as we sampled local delicacies, our conversations flowing easily, filled with stories and dreams for the future. That afternoon, we stumbled upon a small art gallery tucked away in a side street. The moment I stepped inside, I felt an instant connection to the pieces on display. Each painting told a story, capturing moments of joy, struggle, and triumph. I found myself drawn to one particular piece of vibrant canvas depicting a woman standing on a cliff, arms outstretched to the horizon. Her expression was one of freedom and possibility, and it resonated deeply with me. "I think you found your spirit painting," Sarah joked, nudging me playfully. I smiled, knowing she was right. This painting encapsulated everything I was feeling: hope, strength, and an unwavering belief in the future. It was a reminder that I was on the right path, embracing life's uncertainties with open arms. As the days passed, Sarah and I immersed ourselves in the local culture, each experience a new chapter in our adventure. We hiked along rugged trails, the breathtaking views serving as a backdrop to our conversations about life and growth. We spent evenings by the sea, the sound of the waves a soothing balm that washed away any lingering doubts. One evening, as we sat on the beach watching the sunset, Sarah turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Emma, I've seen you transform over these past months. You're stronger and more vibrant than ever." Her words warmed my heart, affirming the progress I had made. "Thank you, Sarah. This journey has been incredible, and I couldn't have done it without your support." As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, I reflected on how far I had come. The accident, though challenging, had been a catalyst for change, prompting me to reevaluate my life and priorities. It had taught me the importance of choosing myself, of creating a life that reflected my true desires and aspirations. On our last day, as we packed our bags, I felt a sense of gratitude for the experiences we had shared. This trip had been a celebration of friendship, resilience, and the power of embracing the unknown. It was a reminder that life's greatest adventures often begin with a single step into the unfamiliar. As we headed to the airport, I looked out at the world beyond, filled with possibilities waiting to be explored. I knew that whatever lay ahead, I was ready to face it with courage and grace, armed with the lessons learned and the unwavering support of those who mattered most. This was just the beginning of my journey, and I was excited to see where it would lead. As Sarah and I returned from our trip, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and clarity. The experiences we shared had been transformative, reminding me of the beauty and richness life offered when embraced with an open heart. Back home, the familiar sights and sounds of the city greeted me, but this time, everything felt different. I carried with me the lessons and memories from our adventure, ready to integrate them into my everyday life. The first week back, I focused on settling into a new routine. I returned to work with fresh energy, eager to apply the insights I had gained. My colleagues noticed the change, commenting on my positive outlook and infectious enthusiasm. It was as if the weight I had been carrying for so long had finally lifted, allowing me to approach my responsibilities with renewed vigor. Despite the positive changes, the reality of my family's continued attempts to reconnect lingered in the background. Their messages arrived regularly, a mix of apologies, justifications, and pleas for understanding. Yet, I felt a sense of detachment, a clarity that allowed me to see their actions from a distance. The boundaries I had set were firm, and I was determined to maintain them. One evening, as I was organizing photos from our trip, My phone buzzed with a message from my sister, Lily. Her words were conciliatory, expressing a desire to mend our relationship. I paused, considering the possibility of extending an olive branch, but ultimately I knew I needed more time to focus on my personal growth before revisiting those connections. Instead of responding, I redirected my energy towards the relationships that had supported me through my journey. Sarah, Alex, and the rest of my friends had been my rock, providing unwavering support and encouragement. I reached out to them, planning small gatherings and outings to nurture these bonds that had become so vital to my well-being. As the weeks turned into months, I continued to explore new opportunities and experiences. I signed up for a painting class, reigniting a passion I had long set aside. Each stroke of the brush felt liberating, a creative outlet that allowed me to express the emotions and discoveries from my recent travels. In the midst of my personal journey, I found myself more open to life's possibilities. I began volunteering at a local community center, mentoring young adults who were navigating their own challenges. Sharing my experiences and insights with them was fulfilling, a reminder of the strength that comes from overcoming adversity. One afternoon, while volunteering, a young woman approached me, her eyes filled with questions and uncertainty. As we talked, I saw reflections of my own journey in her story, and I offered her the same advice that had guided me: to embrace change with courage and to prioritize her own happiness. As the sun set that evening, casting a warm glow over the city, I reflected on the path I had traveled. The accident, the challenges, and the growth had all been part of a greater journey, a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. I was no longer defined by the expectations of others, but by the choices I made and the life I was creating for myself. With each day, I grew more confident in my ability to navigate the future. I knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, I was equipped with the tools and resilience to face them head-on. This was my journey, and I was ready to embrace every moment with an open heart and an adventurous spirit. As I embraced this new chapter, I realized that the journey was as much about letting go as it was about moving forward. My life had transformed into a mosaic of experiences that shaped me into someone stronger and more self-assured. The lessons I had learned through adversity became the foundation upon which I built my future. With each passing day, I grew more comfortable in my own skin, no longer burdened by the expectations of others. The freedom I felt was exhilarating, a reminder that I was in control of my own destiny. I began setting new goals, focusing on personal growth and fulfillment rather than external validation. One morning, as I sipped coffee on my balcony, I reflected on how far I had come. The city buzzed with life below, a constant hum of energy and possibility. It reminded me that the world was vast and full of opportunities waiting to be explored. I felt a renewed sense of purpose, ready to tackle whatever lay ahead. The support of my friends continued to be a source of strength. We shared laughter, dreams, and stories, each moment reinforcing the bonds that had become so essential to my journey. I realized that family was not solely defined by blood, but by the connections we choose to nurture and cherish. As the weeks turned into months, I found myself more open to new experiences. I attended workshops, joined community events, and even took a solo trip to a nearby town, each adventure adding a new layer to my understanding of the world and my place in it. The journey had also taught me the importance of gratitude. I made it a daily practice to acknowledge the small joys and victories, celebrating each step forward, no matter how small. This mindset shift brought a sense of peace and contentment, grounding me in the present while inspiring hope for the future. Reflecting on my path, I understood that life is a series of chapters, each with its own challenges and triumphs. The accident had been a catalyst for change, but it was my response to it that defined my journey. I had chosen to rise, to seek out the light in the darkness, and to embrace the unknown with courage. As I looked toward the horizon, I knew that my story was still unfolding. There would be more adventures, more lessons to learn, and more opportunities to grow. And with each new day, I was ready to face it all, armed with the resilience and wisdom I had gained along the way. This was my life to live, and I intended to make the most of every moment. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to find ourselves taking on too much responsibility, much like Emma did in her efforts to support her family. One key lesson is to recognize your own limits and establish clear boundaries, ensuring that you don't neglect your well-being. Embracing self-care isn't selfish. It's vital for maintaining a healthy balance between personal goals and the needs of others. This could mean carving out regular time for hobbies you enjoy, protecting your mental space by declining excessive demands, or seeking support from friends and professionals when you feel overwhelmed. Just as Emma discovered, genuine connections can emerge where you least expect them. Sometimes the people who stand by you are not those you initially assumed. Be open to forming new friendships and leaning on your community during tough times. It's also crucial to remain adaptable and explore new experiences, whether through traveling or engaging in a creative outlet that reignites your passion. Finally, remember that setbacks can become catalysts for profound growth. By reflecting on challenging events and choosing to focus on your own healing and aspirations, you give yourself the freedom to move forward with renewed purpose, building the life you truly want and deserve.